Hi, Jan. How are you today?
Hi Betty. I'm very good, thank you.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. So, Jan, tell us about you.
So my name is Jan. I come from a family of teachers. My parents were teachers, and some of my aunts and uncles were teachers. A lot of teachers in the family. But I decided to do something else. I studied IT,
Mm,
but ended up being a teacher anyway. Started giving a lot of software courses, and well, today I'm running an e-learning agency. I started my own company a few years ago, and for the rest, I have a 2.5 year old son, and I live on the beautiful Caribbean island of Curacao.
wow. And everybody who just heard that is like, oh, I want to be like Jan. I want to live on a Caribbean island. That sounds great. What would you
Well, make sure
say
to get a
are,
remote job.
say that again?
I said, make sure to get a remote job or make a job for
Okay.
yourself with remote.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. What would you say are your biggest accomplishments in life and in work? What are some of your biggest accomplishments?
For me, like definitely, like apart from raising our son, because that's the hardest thing there is so far.
Uh-huh.
Apart from that, it's moving here to the Caribbean and starting my own company.
Yeah. Yeah. What would others say about you? Like what would they say are your biggest accomplishments?
Um, they'll probably be like among the same lines. I would say they're probably happy for me that I managed to start this company, and happy for me that I managed to move to my dream destination.
Yeah.
Actually live there, and yeah.
So your family does not live in the Caribbean though.
I don't, my relatives don't, but my girlfriend and my son, they
Yes.
all live here. Yeah, we all live in the
Your
same house. Yeah,
your I meant like your extended family, like all those
yeah.
teachers.
Oh, they don't. No, they live in the
No,
Netherlands.
they're in the Netherlands. Okay. So that's quite a ways away. That you definitely moved far from home.
It is. Yeah, it's what is it? 10-hour flight
Phew. Over the ocean.
over the ocean.
Not my kind of thing, but I guess if you're moving to the Caribbean, you only got to go once.
That's true. Yeah, I don't fly up and down not, at least not in this pandemic right now.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what has been your experience with imposter syndrome?
So I would say the first thing that comes to mind for me is when I just started working. I just graduated, and like during graduation, you do some internships and you basically work for free.
Yes.
And for the rest, I was like making money delivering pizzas during my studies, which is a great job. It's a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, I was like always worth either nothing or €4 an hour. And then suddenly I was like, from day one when I started working, I was a consultant worth €1,300 a day. And
Uh-huh.
wow, that's like, how am I
Sticker
gonna
shock.
like make this true, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that was maybe the first few weeks or months. I didn't think too much about it, but then like one day it like hit me, and I thought, okay, like these people are paying this crazy amount of money for me, and I can never be worth that. I'm a pizza delivery guy, and yeah, I guess that's when it like first hit me, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I felt like I really had to act in a certain way, right, to make it through.
Yeah.
Uh,
So do you
yeah,
still struggle with imposter syndrome?
well, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Like I started a company just 2 years ago, and I think also back in the days, like you're acting like in a certain role, and even like when starting a company from scratch, like you have to act like the company is a little bit bigger than it is, or it's a
Sure.
little bit more serious than it is.
Yeah.
And I guess I guess you are an imposter in certain ways, right? A little bit, trying to make yourself a little bit bigger than you are.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, I guess that it kind of ties together.
Yeah. So when you experience imposter syndrome, when you're having sort of like a moment of it, what is it what does it feel like? Do you have are there certain emotions? Are there thoughts you have? Any physical reactions?
I would say it's like walking on a rope, right? It's a bit it's a bit scary. You're like,
Uh-huh.
I can like they're gonna see through this, and I'm gonna fall.
Yeah.
It's scary, I would say.
Hmm. Any kind of physical reaction that you can recall?
It's like a nervous kind of feeling in the stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that sound
Yes,
familiar?
it does. It's sort
Yeah.
of like a, "Ugh," like, oh, it just, yeah, they're going to figure it out. Hmm.
Yeah.
When would you say is the most recent sort of moment of imposter syndrome that you had?
Mm, let me think. Like a recent example. That's I have to think about it for a moment.
Okay.
Um, I can't think of like a super recent one at the moment. Sorry. Can I?
That's okay. Maybe
Can
when
we
you
get back
started.
to that one later? Or, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Maybe when
Yeah.
you started your
Yeah. When I
business.
started the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine that's a moment where you're really feeling anxious and potentially overwhelmed, and that kind of leads right into that imposter syndrome
Yeah.
feeling.
'Cause basically, I was like the pizza delivery guy again, like from a few years
Yeah.
ago. I was
Yeah. I'm just a pizza guy. Yeah.
yeah, and I was pretending to be a business owner, and I was
I
not
like
because I
I like how
wasn't.
you use
Yeah,
those words pretending, because that's how you're definitely not pretending, but it
exactly.
feels like you're pretending.
Yeah, and I think that's like the next step, right? Because it's actually you saying this things and like doing these things and like making those quotations and like you're
Yeah.
actually doing it,
Yep.
and it feels like you're faking it, but in reality, you're actually doing it.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I can relate. So when this happens, when you have sort of these moments of imposter syndrome, how do you cope with that? Do you have techniques that you put into practice or something that you do that makes it better?
I like I kind of think that like when I try something new like that, like when I'm starting a business right now and like I'm talking to new potential clients,
Yeah.
I kind of know that I'm gonna like screw up the first few, and I kind of like try to come to peace with it.
Uh-huh.
It's very hard to get in touch with them, and it's very hard to like get to that point where you can like do your pitch and like say something about your company.
Yeah.
And it's scary, and you're like the imposter there, or you feel like it. And I think like somewhere early in the process, like now, like I had a few years of practice in my career now. I think I realized that this thing happens, and I come to peace with like losing the first like 3 or 4 or 5 deals and like perfecting my story. And at the end, like you know that these people are gonna forget you, so it's like you do your story, they choose someone else, and they're gonna forget about you, and you can move on.
You can move on. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting. You kind of invite the imposter syndrome to come and sit with you and accept that it's there. Like you know what it's up to. And
I guess I do now because I got some experience with it.
yeah. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned you sort of know that the first couple of times you might screw it up. I know about myself that the first time I meet you, there's like a 99% chance I'm going to do something awkward and strange. Especially in person, like I will drop something, I will go to like gesture with my hand and throw my pen, I will whack somebody with my elbow, like that's going to happen. And it's like if you can just accept that just expect it, like it's not so bad when it actually happens. Like so it's I think that just reminds me of that when you're saying kind of
Yeah,
accept that it might happen.
it's kind of like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that you do to try to make it better?
Well, I like the fake it till you make it. That seems to work for me. I guess that's like the same as like inviting it like to become like a buddy in your journey.
Yeah.
The imposter syndrome, like just
Just bring
if
it
you
with
fake
you.
enough that you're like in a certain role, you're gonna get there eventually.
Yeah. Yep. So, what would you share with somebody who is experiencing imposter syndrome like right now?
I think the number one that's really important to know is that is very common. That a lot of people are experiencing this, and it's not just you experiencing this. It's I would say it's probably most people even, and the person like across the table is likely to be even experiencing the same thing because if you're doing something new, there's a chance the other person across the table is also doing something new, um, and at the end, I would say go with it. Like just let it be there and just evaluate after. Like, it's fine if you feel like an imposter during the conversation or during the task that you're working on. As long as you are a good imposter and like do the task and like try to do the task as good as you can.
Uh-huh.
And then afterwards evaluate, like see if you were really an imposter or if you actually did the task
Yeah.
very well.
Have you ever found that you actually are an imposter when you've done that?
I guess like only like if I would lie as part of the
Yeah.
yeah, like if I would like honestly, like if I would impost like so like strongly that I would like say things that are not true and like make them more interesting or more
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Embellish it.
yeah,
And then you kind of,
um,
yeah, then it's kind of true.
yeah,
Yeah.
then you actually become an imposter.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily a good way of doing business.
No. I would agree. Probably not one that you subscribe to on a regular basis.
Exactly.
So I have one more question for you, Jan.
Hmm.
And that is why did you want to be a part of this imposter syndrome project? What made you say yes?
Because I think like I think back like 14 years when I just started working,
Uh-huh.
and I think it really like bothered me at the time, and it's I really thought I was like an imposter, right? And I was like faking to be an IT consultant, and I was like faking to have this knowledge about complex business problems, and
Yeah.
I was actually like, if I look back to that time now, I was giving people really good advice, and they're like still using the piece of advice that I gave them back then, and they're still happy with me like 14 years later if I
Yeah.
talk to them now. So I think I want to tell to those people like who are like at that stage of their career or that or not just in your career, right? It's in anything you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that it is common, that it is going to pass, that it is part of life, and I want to help those people to understand the. I think you have to understand the syndrome to deal with it better.
Yeah.
And I guess
Yep. And
your
I
research is
would
going to
agree.
help them. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping so. So well, and we appreciate it. We really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing your stories. So thank you, Jan.
no worries. Thank you too.
If you like this series and you want to show support, go to buymeacoffee.com/ifyouaskbetty to learn more about how you can support this and future If You Ask Betty projects.